Okay, today I just wanted to make a quick video. Had a few people that said that they would prefer a video tutorial on loading the rear indent ribbon as opposed to just following the written instructions, which there is a certain amount of instructions on the back of the case right here. It shows the path and everything, at least to give a reference. And then in the user manual that you received, there is instructions in it as well. But sometimes, as we say, a picture's 1,000 words and a video, I guess, 1,000,000. So first and foremost, there's two ways of loading. Sometimes you will have the old reel from your, when you use these up, make sure I'm in the video, when you use these up, be sure to keep these centerpieces. They make it a little bit easier and cleaner as an uptake reel. But if you don't have an uptake reel, once they're through the path, they can just be wound around this a couple times, and no uptake reel is actually necessary. So there's going to be a couple things that we have to make sure that we do. First and foremost is that these can be loaded one of two ways, and what I want you to take a look at here, if you see it, is there's these little circular patterns. Those go up. If you look on the other side, no circular patterns that are indented into it. So that will be your clue on which side up. As well as on your uptake reel, if you are using one, also the little circular things, those will go up. So I'll just set this here to show you that it fits here, and actually it doesn't fit the other direction. It's designed so that you can't, but just so that you're not fighting with it, or we did have somebody somehow get it on there wrong after the fact. So this will be handy in that you pull the spring up to be able to access and get it out from under. And I just want you to take a look at, so this is how it will sit with those circular sides up. Then what's going to be important is that on the ribbon, there's a, if you look right here, it's glossy. The other side is dull. So we're going to pay attention to where the glossy versus the dull side of the ribbon is, because ultimately when we get up on top of the path, the dull side should go up, so that because that is the print side, and the dull side has to come up so that the card comes over top of it, so that when the card is here, the dull side will be up, and the dull side is what touches the back of the card and what is indented and printed to it. Okay, with those preliminary, what we're going to do, you also will need these discs, and these ride, I'll show you real quick so that you have a reference here, but these ride in place like such, and almost tried to put it in upside down. So let's give you a reference here as well, that ultimately these will ride as well. Now, if you ever get into a point, there's little rubber gaskets down here that kind of help keep these snug. If those gaskets get moved around out of place, this might get a little bit sloppy. You can just roll them back down, or make sure that they don't roll too far down, that they're in the proper place. But right there, that gives you an example of, I don't have it in the path yet, but how it's going to essentially look. Alright, next is this, you'll notice, is spring loaded. And so what we're going to do is make sure that we always keep tension on that. If we don't keep tension on it, it'll ultimately kind of drop down below, and you'll have to take it off and fish it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out, I like to pull out about 12 to 18 inches so I don't have to fight with it. And hopefully my hands aren't blocking everything. Now, if you can't see it, I hope you can, but I have the gloss side towards the front of the machine, so the gloss side is going to actually come in contact with this first wheel. Okay, and now each point you want to put your finger and lock it in so that the tension stays on this reel, or it easily comes unwound. It's a little bit of a hassle. Okay, now as they go around the paths, you're going to find that these things twist a little bit here and there. We also want the gloss side to touch. Now at the very bottom, there's a little reel hold or guide. So this is going to come gloss side physically touching this wheel, and then it's going to come off, and then it's going to twist. It's going to come and twist so that the gloss side touches the bottom guide here. And now the gloss side is again going to touch the top reel. So gloss side down, and this is what I was talking about, the dull side up. Because again, remember, the card is going to pass over top of this, and this, just like a typewriter ribbon, is what is going to be used to print the physical color to the back of the card, and then the dies, or shall we say the little indenter keys, will help to etch that. Alright, now the next thing is there is a guard here. The guard is what separates the lower emboss wheel keys and the upper. And the ribbon should ride underneath the guard above the lower wheel. And so keeping tension on it, just kind of pull that to the back a little bit until you get that. Now make sure it's flat. And I will include some pictures along with this so that you have a reference from the back side what it looks like. But it should go above the bottom wheel type wheel, but it should go below this guard, and this guard is below the top wheel. Alright, we're still gloss side down, and we are still dull side up. So the gloss side comes into contact with this guide again. Again, we're keeping the tension. If we don't, this thing will flip back and unwind. So keeping tension here, gloss side down, we'll bring it down, and now for the first time we will have the dull side come into contact with the reel so that gloss side touches the guide, but then dull side is touching the guide here. Okay? And then we're going to bring this around like so, and keeping the tension on there. Now normally I don't put this on until I'm done with this part, so I'm going to take that off, keeping the tension here. Now what I'm going to do is the end of this has a little bit of adhesive. So what I like to do is just bring this down and just tack it to it a little bit. And then I'll just kind of pick that up and just kind of roll it a little bit to get it started. Like so. Now, once I've got that in place, yes, it does take a little bit of dexterity in doing this, and you want to try to get that pasted down a little bit. The first time I put one of these on, it took me like, I don't know, 15 minutes it seemed like to get it put in correctly. And then once you start to get that, you just kind of reel it up so that you can ultimately get it to put tension on it. Alright, so once I have that, I'm going to continue to put pressure on it, and then I have to bring it back and not have it hit this guide that I'm holding the tension on, and just slide that into place. And at that point, I can just advance it a couple times so that I got good tension, and I've advanced any scarred areas that might leave an imperfect indent past. So as I can see, I put these circular little imprint portions up. It's the only way that it really fits well. On the first wheel, gloss side comes into physical contact with the wheel. Gloss side continues to come into contact with the bottom guide. Gloss side comes in contact with the top guide, with leaving the dull side up. The ribbon needs to pass below the guard and between the guard and the lower wheel, and we need to make sure that it is not caught on anything. Now, next thing to watch is sometimes these things get rattled a little bit, where this thing will naturally rest, and you'll see like maybe it's a ½ inch away or something like that. It should be about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch, the guide, from the edge of the wheel. Now you don't want it to be like too far in, because then when the wheel turns it would hit the guide. But if it did happen to be here, you can just put gentle tension pressure here and just kind of guide that back, and that'll push it into place. And the reason that's important, if you don't, this thing is too far forward, the ribbon will be engaged or being hit on all of the embossing, and it'll make the card dirty, probably break your ribbon. So make sure that you only have that small amount, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and then if it ever slipped, you just press that back a little bit, and then if you got it too much, you can push it forward and then push forward a little bit. But this thing is going to, when it engages and indents, the machine is going to have a little plunger there. It pushes this forward, it'll indent, and then it'll release back. And so you just kind of watch that. Usually you only have to pay attention to that initially after it shipped or something in case it got rattled a little bit. Alright, so there you have it. If you have any questions on this, refer both to the diagram on the back of your case as well as, I think it's on page 16 of the user's manual, and feel free to send us an email message through the eBay system or direct in as well. Appreciate it. Have a great day.